My opinion on Link's Awakening rocked back and forth several times following its reveal and even up to the time when I was in the middle of playing the game. There were certainly elements that I liked, some that I felt could have been included that maybe weren't, but while there are plenty of videos laying out reviews of all different types of aspects of the game, I want to focus your attention on one. The one thing that is perhaps, for me, my favorite element to Link's Awakening. I've played all of the 3D Zeldas, but as far as 2D Zeldas go, I have only really personally owned and played maybe 3 in depth. The only ones I've really played to, or almost to completion, were the Minish Cap and the Four Swords games, both on the Game Boy Advance. Then of course, before that, I had A Link to the Past on my Super Nintendo. Leading up to this release, with the release of Super Nintendo games on Nintendo Online, I had the easy opportunity to replay A Link to the Past prior to this game's release and playing it. And the similarities in how they play is really astonishing to me. The way that the enemies move, the general speed of the character, how attacks feel, it's very similar. Which I guess makes sense, as this is a remake of a game that came from a similar time period, albeit on less powerful hardware. But it made even someone like me who hasn't played every single 2D Zelda game very familiar. That being said, there was an aspect to other 2D Zeldas that I think was really perfected. Maybe in the original game, but definitely in this remaster. This may be something that's less annoying for others. Some people may in fact really like it. But one thing that really veered my attention span off when playing some of these other Zelda games growing up was not knowing what to do or where to go. That being said, I like my Zeldas to at least feel more open and not hold me to an exact linear path. And it felt like, largely speaking, those two things are a package deal. If I want the more open feel to the world, I'm just gonna have to deal with not understanding where to go all the time. It's a satisfying feeling, figuring something out or finding an item and then thinking to yourself, oh, I know where this goes. That feeling of satisfaction is a unique type of enjoyment in games that is hard to balance and maintain. That sense of puzzles to solutions, and time spent to time rewarded. So while this might be subjective and others might have a completely different experience to mine, for me, the secret star in Link's Awakening is this exact balance, a masterful progression. In my experience, Link's Awakening was by far the 2D Zelda that had me least have to look at a walkthrough for assistance. When given the opportunity, I like my first run of a game to generally be mostly blind and figuring things out on my own. But I have a limited amount of time to play games and lots of other games that I'm waiting to play, so if I find myself stuck for like 30 minutes or something, I am likely to either refer to a guide or play something else. There were only 2 times, though, that I looked up a walkthrough during my entire completed playthrough of Link's Awakening. And those were these 2 things. How to get the blue bird for the 7th temple, which I didn't even know I needed, and when trying to get the boomerang, and being unable to figure out where that fisherman guy was. Although, I'll admit the fisherman was much easier to find, I just wasn't being smart about it. The dungeons, specifically 7, got a little cruel later on too, but I'm not talking about so much the dungeon design or progression, I'm talking about the entire world. The overworld that you explore and go back and forth within and unlock different areas to. Without assistance to find, I had 3 bottles, 19 hearts and 1 extra heart piece, and 33 shells. And this was without me hardcore hunting or making a mission out of getting all of them. Just me exploring and having fun. I upgraded my magic powder, my bombs, and did the color dungeon, all on my own, and this felt satisfying. I'm not talking about when characters like the owl tell you explicitly where to go or what to do. I'm talking about whenever you get given an item and immediately go, oh wait, I remember someone I already met who would want this letter, or revisiting a cave because you now realize that you have the hook shot, and you can finally get that 1 heart piece. This is fundamentally one of the most enjoyable aspects to 2D Zelda games for me. The sense of exploration, of discovery, of expanding the world and finding the tucked away nooks and crannies filled with rewards. And doing it all on your own always feels more satisfying for me. Like you figured it out, like you earned it. Hopefully this doesn't come off as too much of a stretch, but in a way, I sort of think that this oh yeah feeling, while being a staple of the classic Zelda titles, particularly fits with the themes of Link's Awakening. Although it is made fairly obvious early on throughout the game, I'm going to give a brief spoiler warning for an over 20-year-old game. Ready? Okay. The fact that Link is actually in a dream world created by the Windfish and himself, I think it also makes sense that a feeling of familiarity would be more common in this game than in others. He isn't really exploring a vast Hyrule that he knows little about outside of his town, but he is literally exploring his mind. He's walking his way through a world that he helped create and inhabit, and I think that is super cool, and easily was one of the most attractive parts of playing Link's Awakening for me. All of the discovery with half of the frustration, and feeling like you really know the road. Thanks so much, The Single Way Out, Marion, Lachlan So Stupid, Akio, A Quiet Respect, Dolphinos, Whizbang2093, Frillneck Lizard, Thomas Greenway, CJ for the Whales, Sam Lloyd, and all of my other patrons. I hope you don't mind, but actually, before I cut to the outro, I have a couple things that I'd really like to say, but more importantly, that I'd like to thank all of you for. First, I almost doubled my uploads this month, going from 4 to 7. Almost doubled the time spent, if not more, and I wanted to make sure that I kept putting out things that I thought were good quality. A lot of you recognized this extra effort and time that I was putting in, and that I honestly am trying to plan to continue putting in. And over the last month, my Patreon has gone up considerably. So just thank you. Thank you a lot. The new support is unbelievably appreciated, as this is my main job, my only job. I'm glad you are enjoying what I've been putting out, and of course, as I say, sometimes replying to people in the comments, I'll try to keep doing so. Secondly, I opened my YouTube's Patreon a year ago. Many patroned on the 21st of September last year, that's within the first week, and some just a few days later than that. Still, there are some of those people who have stayed my patron from the beginning and to this day a year later, so I'd like to give a extra special shout out to Niles, Urban the Myth, Hashi, Dorange, Peter, Carla, and Soj King Vinesmoke. I hope I didn't forget anyone, but to my knowledge, these are the people who decided first that I was worth supporting. In the first week of my Patreon was made, and still up to this day, they are helping to support me and get me the money I need to live off of this. So if any of you see this, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, genuinely. You more than deserve just a special shout out. It means a lot. If you got through all of that, it's hugely appreciated, and if you're new, I hope you decide to stick around. But till then, no matter who you are, I hope to see you all soon.